Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Only Rugby Show. Great to have you with us again. Please make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook as well so you can get involved throughout these episodes, and we'll get some questions to the guys for you as we go along. We'll welcome everyone back in this week. Former Wallabies Drew Mitchell and Stephen Hoiles, and a rugby commentator and rugby personality Sean Maloney joining us as well. Guys, great to see you all. Drew, you particularly are looking a little bit better than you were a few days ago.
Yeah, that's right. On Friday afternoon, I spent a couple of hours in the dentist chair, and had all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed. So it's touch and go whether I was going to be able to front up today. I wasn't sure about the swelling and what was going to go on in my mouth. But look, I've got a little bit, but I think, to be honest, I think I've come away with it pretty lucky, to be fair. I had a bit of pain on the Friday afternoon and Friday night, but Saturday I was Bronte Beach, getting down to the water and getting out into a bit of nature.
I got to say, if I ever end up in any strife at a pub or club or anywhere late, I'm just going to say I had my wisdom teeth out. That was amazing, Drew. Everyone gives me anyone busts my chops, go, just have the wisdom teeth out. Oh, sweet, away you go.
Mate, look, there are times where I probably thought, I could maybe use this to my advantage, but yeah, look, there was a fair bit of pain. I may have been flying as high as a couple of those astronauts that just left the planet a couple of days ago on SpaceX. But yeah, look, so the pain med served a purpose on Friday evening. But other than that, I think I've been pretty lucky since. Yeah, this is pretty messed up. It's pouring with rain. I'm walking myself to the dental clinic to have all 4 of my wisdom teeth removed. I've been putting this off for at least 10 years, so it's fair to say I'm a little bit scared about what's going to happen. And I apologise in advance for anything I may say or post this afternoon.
Yes, I've just got home from the wisdom tooth removal. Face is a bit numb, a bit swollen, a little bit of blood, but I feel like I'm on the mend. Now the big decision, custard or yogurt. I think I might go custard. Icing is a big part of your recovery, so I may have lost my wisdom teeth, but I haven't bloody lost my wisdom.
Yeah, I was getting all settled into your Instagram updates, Drew, and they were quality. Like, your pain was our game, but they just stopped. I was almost disappointed that those pain meds probably put you to sleep. I would have loved another couple of hours of updates.
Yeah,
he tranquilised himself.
Yeah, it was probably a good thing. I never take one of anything, but I did wake up. I promise I did wake up in a little bit of nervous energy around. I had a few text messages saying, "Mate, your Insta stories were gold," and I didn't have a great recollection of what it was that I was posting. So I woke up with a bit of fear going through my Instagram and just seeing what it was that I posted. And of course, there's always that sort of regret, much like I have after a big night out on the drink, of who I may have text messaged as well. So I had to go through the inbox as well and just make sure I didn't send anything inappropriate. But I've come away pretty unscathed, I think.
Can I just segue this into Hoilesy, your weekend? Drew looked like he had a couple of Guiltinis, right? Which is this untested cocktail that's about to hit the market in the USA, and is also the team name for the side that you're joining in the US MLR next year. How has that come about? Why didn't you share that with us earlier in the week?
Give us the scoop.
Oh, these things aren't to be announced until due date, and there was a little bit of holding back. I think the main reason for the announcement was just to name the team itself. I think there was a fair few people that obviously people knew there was a team coming into LA and another side coming into Dallas, and the announcement was it caught a lot of people by surprise. Look, one of the positives was there wasn't much talk about Deron Coleman being head coach and me being his assistant, and it was really the name of the Guiltini that caught everyone by surprise. There's another side owned by the same owner that's called the Gilgronis. That's the Austin side, and look, it's taken the US rugby fans. Let's just say they're not overly responsive with the name so far. So there's been a little bit of backlash, as you'd like to say, Sean.
You can't gloss over that. You need to tell us about old mate who kicked off Deluxe via Twitter and what he said about the name for the Guiltinis.
When you say old mate, you make it sound like there's one person, Sean. It's old mates. Look, I woke up to a lot of messages. A lot of them were positive and congratulations. A lot of them were players from all parts of the world interested in hearing more about the opportunity over there. And the majority of them were, can you please explain more about the Giltini? And I said, look, I'm not in marketing. I'm not in alcohol production. I'm just there to coach a side. Sure, we might sample the product from time to time, but look, watch this space. It's been an interesting week, that's for sure. I'm excited to go over there, despite the fact we think we're going to be moving to Santa Monica, which I thought 48 hours ago was probably a safe haven until I turned on the TV today and saw every surfboard getting stolen from the main surf shop in Santa Monica. So that was a little bit disturbing, but hopefully it all quietens down before it's time to go over there.
Steve, did you guys was it a scenario where perhaps you all got together, the senior staff, coaching staff alike, and the ownership got together and just had an absolute doozy, much like my Friday night, and you woke up thinking, shit, what have we done? We've just named a team the Giltinis.
Yeah, I thought initially someone had just spelled it wrong and it was a Giltini, like chopping someone's head off. But no, it's a cocktail. And look, it's definitely caught the attention of the MLR. We did hear this, that there's been some big announcements in the MLR over the last couple of years. Probably I think the biggest they said was when Ma Nonu and the Beast decided to join the competition that was started but not ended this year because of COVID, and that created a lot of online traffic. Well, the announcement of the Giltinis has apparently quadrupled the amount of traffic online on the socials. So it's caught people's attention.
It's all hate mail.
Look,
Sean, it's free advertising.
Good publicity.
We're talking about it now, Sean. You've just sold cartons and cartons and truckloads of Giltinis. Probably for yourself, mind you, but you're still selling the drink for us.
So if you have too many Giltinis, it might actually and not win any games because you're going to be coming up against my team, the New York Rugby United New York. It might actually turn into the guillotines. Your head might be on the chopping block.
You'll be on the wing, and you know what we'll be doing? We'll be placing a sideline full of Giltinis as close to you, and I know temptation. If I do, you won't be going anywhere near the football field if there's a couple of Giltini sideline.
Yeah, that's
Oi,
fair.
guys, I need to tee you up before I go. I've got to bolt. I've got to do a World Rugby interview with Jordan Conroy, the flyer from the Irish Sevens team. Speaking of crazily named teams, the Sunwolves, the Mighty Moondogs, gone
Big
from
bubbles.
Super Rugby. And I'd like to pour a little bit of sake out in the honour of the Sunwolves before I go, because they brought a lot of fun to the competition, and I'm sad to see them go. Discuss.
Yeah, I'll jump in here, Sean. I'm sad to see them leave, but at the same time, when they announced a while ago that they were leaving, I was one person that was of the opinion, unless they're going to be able to put their best Japanese team in the competition, and it wasn't going to be a side that was chock full of 2 or 3 players from 6 or 7 countries. I wasn't at the time overly upset. I would love to see him in the competition now because of the situation we're in. And you know what? We found out in 2019 before the World Cup that they weren't going to be in the competition in 2021. I almost changed my mind completely when it came to the first game in Japan, the start of this year, after the Rugby World Cup, and the Prince Chibubu Stadium, where you've called a fair few games from yourself, Shawnee. That was packed, and that made me disappointed, knowing that we're not going to see the Sunwolves on the back of the Rugby World Cup momentum. We've all said it. We love the fact that the game's growing in Asia, and we've got to get a part of that. But if we do ever get the Sunwolves back, or aside from Japan, I'd love to see the best players from Japan, like something really similar to that World Cup side that we saw, because they were an amazing team to watch.
For me, I think, one, they do create a fantastic atmosphere. I was able to call one game up there with Big Andrew Swain. And the atmosphere, the 50-year-old DJ in the stand, and everyone sort of, even the security guards and the stadium attendants doing the moves on the sidelines and things is great. But it's just not supported by Japanese rugby. I think they don't see Super Rugby as a future pathway for them. They see the Japanese top league, and I think rightfully so. The majority of their Japanese World Cup squad came from the top league, not from the Super Rugby side, the Sunwolves. So the strength of their national team and going forward for them, they see is in the top league. So whilst we all sit here and think that the Super Rugby is the be-all and end-all, for Japanese rugby, they think the top league is. So I think it's unfortunate that we won't see them bring their sort of flavour to the competition, but I think it's probably best for all parties with how it's panned out.
So I say arigato gozaimasu, and I say sayonara.
Thank you to Sean Maloney for his company again. Of course, great to have him on. Busy man.
Hang on.
Sean Maloney.
He's not going to another job podcast or Zoom call. Uber Eats knocked on the door. We all heard that. I hope he's not.
Oh,
He's deep into a time
he's
era
not
right
here
now.
to be able to defend himself.
Yeah.
Hoiles, I just want to go back and talk about DC, Deron Coleman, a little bit, because you are going over with him. Can you give us an idea of what your sort of relationship with him is like? He's a great bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, I've known him for a long time. I first met him, he ran the academy at the Brumbies about 10 years ago now. He's coached for 25 years and he's probably only in his late 40s, although at times he looks a little bit older than that. He has been known to cut up a dance floor and enjoy a drink, so the name Guiltini might go down well with DC. He does enjoy a good time, but he's coached for 25 years. He's coached in Ireland, he's coached in Italy, he's coached in Japan, he's coached top league in Japan, he's run the Brumbies program, the Academy Brumbies program, that is, sorry. He coached the Ringa Rats 2 or 3 seasons ago to their first Shoot Shield victory. He's been knocking on the door of Super Rugby for a while. He missed out on the job at the Waratahs this season. I was led to believe that he was in top 2 or 3 in that job that went to Rob Penny, and I think he's just been waiting for an opportunity for a long, long time. One of his strengths is his ability to recruit, and that's really important for a side like us, because we're new into this MLR competition. We're one of 2 new sides. There's 11 existing sides, so we've got to work really hard to find the best talent that's available. And the majority of our players have to be USA and Canadian qualified, and that's not easy, because the best of them are mainly playing for sides that already exist, or some are up in Europe or some are in New Zealand. So he's been really good to work with so far. He plays a really positive style of footy. I played under him at the New South Wales Country Eagles, who he coached for the first few years, and it's a shame that he hasn't had a chance at Super Rugby, but I'm sure his time will come, and he just had this opportunity like myself, when he's got a couple of young kids around the same ages of my kids, and we both live in Coogee, and it's an opportunity. We view it as once in a lifetime opportunity, Lou. It's come at a time that's pretty tough in Australian rugby. So on one hand, you feel as though you're jumping off a sinking ship, but have been talking LA for the last few months. And the hardest part for me was leaving the Sevens program for the Olympics. I'm still hopeful there might be some opportunity after the MLR season to be involved in the lead up to the Olympics, but that's really Timmy Walsh's call. But back on to Deron, it's an opportunity that he's deserved for a long period of time, and he's been involved in Australian 20s campaigns. He's kind of done everything he could in Australian rugby without being a professional full-time coach at Super Rugby level.
Yeah, we are really excited for you guys to have this opportunity for your families, as you mentioned. But Drew, do you sort of look at this as well and think it's someone that's, well, 2 people really, including Hoilesy, that are lost to Australian rugby, but Deron Coleman in particular, should he have had a Super Rugby chance already?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I've known of Deron Coleman for a long time, but I didn't know his credentials much like Stephen does. I didn't know him as well as what some of these other guys do. And, and when they're going for new Super Rugby coaches here in Australia, like, understanding there's only 4 teams, 5 with the Western Force when they were in the Super Rugby, but, there's limited opportunities. And there's been a lot said about having homegrown talent take over Super Rugby teams in Australia instead of Kiwi coaches in Brad Thorne and also Rob Penny. But look, there's people employed in situations and positions to make those decisions. And like Steve said, this could just be another opportunity for him to grow and to experience a different type of rugby and to have more experience at a professional level, as a head coach. And I'm sure he'll grow from it, and if he's good enough, his time will definitely come. Whether he already should have had it or not, if you're good enough, your time does have a way of finding it, to come up at some point.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, Drew. I think in coaching, timing's everything, and sometimes you get opportunities when you're not ready, and that can be detrimental to your progression. So I don't think Darren's looking at this as he's turning his back on Australian rugby. He's just taken an opportunity that wasn't there a few months ago, and it's an exciting opportunity to take his family abroad. And he's a passionate Aussie, so he'll want to come back. But again, the uncertainty of the Australian market at the moment, it probably gives a guy like Deron not too many options. When he had LA sitting there saying, we want you to run a program in this new side in this amazing city, and his club coach of Gordon, they wanted to keep him. It was hard for him to leave Gordon. I know that for a fact, but to go and start this new team in a big city, it wasn't a tough decision to say yes.
Okay, so Hoilesy, you're going to be on the West Coast. Drew, you'll be on the East Coast. You're going to be in New York.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. It sounds amazing. Tell me about this opportunity for you, and who are you going to be playing with? Who are some of your teammates?
The team's Rugby United New York. Rooney, as we're affectionately known, the Roosters. What about that? Drews to the Rooster, going straight in. Look, they've been in the competition from the get-go. They had big Matthew Bastro from France, a former teammate of mine from Toulon. He was there last year, or this season, most recent season that got interrupted, but he's unfortunately gone back. He was just on a one-year sort of transfer loan from Lyon, so he's gone back to French rugby. But there's also Ben Foden, the former England international fullback. He's going to be there. And I understand that they're talking to some other players about getting some other internationals up there. But look, for me, if I'm being completely honest, and I have been with the team over there, like I'd never thought about playing again since I retired. But you know, when they spoke to me about the opportunity of living in a city like New York, of course it got my attention. I'm not like these other guys, like Steve. I'm not married up with kids and things, so I've got the luxury of just sort of making a decision on behalf of myself and not having, you know, and I can afford to be a little bit selfish in that. I can go up there and sort of jump into, you know, a city like New York. And if it doesn't go well, then I come back home in 6, 12, 18 months to 2 years. And, you know, my position where I am at the moment is not much different, other than, you know, I've experienced a great city to live in like New York. And I've always been sort of open to new challenges and also new locations and things. My upbringing was exactly that. My father was in the army, so we moved around a lot. So change is something I'm familiar with and I'm comfortable with. So, and when they sort of spoke to me about playing, I was unsure. And then I ripped into a fair bit of training with Adam Ashley Cooper over what was going to be the off-season. And once I sort of started to get back to some resemblance of fighting weight, then I started to get pretty excited about it. And it was just a good opportunity for me to kind of get up there and you know, and help these younger guys coming through and in what is not traditionally a strong rugby nation in the United States. So they're reliant on, you know, the guys that you mentioned earlier, Steve, guys like Ma Nonu, the Beast, Mandai Tarawera, these guys to kind of help the development of the existing American players and just really sort of try and impart some of our knowledge and experience into some of these, some of our teammates.
Yeah, I'm very similar to Drew. I've moved around a lot in my life. I've lived in Coogee and Canberra, so I've done a hell of a lot of travel in my time. And a bit like Drew, if things don't go well, then, you know, I've only got to get 4 kids out of school and get them back into schools in Australia. And I thought it was going to be quite challenging, but having looked at the looting going on in Santa Monica at the moment, there's always other options. There's always a way to make a quid. So we'll be fine over there, Drew, and we'll probably meet up somewhere. I know it's not in the middle, but maybe Nevada somewhere perhaps.
Yeah, I'm open to Nevada. I'm a bit like a moth. I like going to the bright lights, so maybe somewhere like Vegas would be nice.
Okay.
Always find myself just sort of getting attracted by the bright lights, and that's the one thing I suppose I've got to be worried about it in New York is making sure I get the balance right, and I don't get distracted too much of the city that never sleeps, and make sure I do get at least a couple of hours every night to get back into training.
Mainly the night before the game.
Yeah. I reckon we'll do one of these shows after that night in Nevada, just check in, see how you guys are faring at that point. Let's talk some rugby in Australia now. And NRL got started on the weekend. I think we're all pretty excited to see some sort of live sport back on our TVs, but also very excited for the Super Rugby comp, or what it will be the domestic style Super Rugby comp in Australia to get started. Good news last week, the Western Force have agreed to be part of that 5-team domestic competition. That's surely a good move just to get at least 5 teams ready to go there, Hoilesy.
Yeah, we just need to see some rugby, Lou. We saw the success that the NRL had over the weekend, and that had eyeballs on it, you know, from Thursday night, was it, or Friday, all the way through to Sunday night. And the games were excellent. They tweaked a couple of the rules in the NRL, and that's something rugby are looking to do as well. But yeah, it'll be exciting to get some games on TV. It's nice to see the Western Force come back in. Where that goes next year, like it's almost not even worth talking about at the moment. Let's just get some footy back on the TV and let these guys go out and play some rugby, so we can finally, you know, start watching instead of talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Western Force coming in, I mean, what we've been speaking about for a long time is the need to engage with the rugby community again. And there's been a lot of negative stuff going on off the field throughout rugby probably since the World Cup and perhaps even before that. So what we need to do is re-engage with some of the disgruntled fans that are, rightfully a little bit unhappy or frustrated with what's been going on. And there's no better way and no better sort of I guess demographic to re-engage with than Western Australians as well. I mean, they felt like they've been wronged for a number of years now, and now there's an opportunity for them to kind of re-engage back into the domestic competition, which whatever sort of form that takes up for the rest of this year, and and hopefully all teams are performing well and strong, and then from there we can kind of work out I guess a bit of a strategy going forward and how Super Rugby or whatever it might be is going to look moving forward.
Oh, Hoiles, he said there's no point talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it. Should the Western Force be there in 2021, Drew?
Look, honestly, Lou, it depends on the makeup of the competition. I think if South Africa and if it's the same sort of Super Rugby format that we've got, then I don't think so. But if it's a more localised product where it's more just around Australia, New Zealand, our time zones, then I think they should be. But yeah, I mean, it all depends on the model of Super Rugby and whether South Africa are going to be involved or not.
Yeah, I always thought that Western Force were hard done by. At the time, I thought Melbourne should have been the side that were removed, and that was a difficult decision because I think at the time they were owned by Rugby Australia, something like that. It was so long ago now. But Western Force, one thing they've done since, or even from day one, they had good support from the community. I know there's some really good, passionate Melbourne Rebels fans. So it's not about the Rebels versus the Force thing. I just always felt that the Force were probably the side that deserved to stay in the competition prior to them getting punted. So I don't think Australian rugby again can sustain 5 teams in a competition against New Zealand and South Africa and Argentina. I don't think we've got the talent at that top tier level. But if we had a national competition, which we've done similar to the NRC, and if we go down that path, then absolutely the Western Force or some form of team from Perth, whatever they're going to call themselves, preferably Western Force, would stay in that competition because they've been good for the NRC over the last few seasons.
Well, plenty of players announced their plans to sort of head overseas, as we know, but maybe a good story for Australian rugby. Hoilesy is someone that you know very well, a last name that people in rugby know very well, Skelton. But this is a different Skelton that is going to head to the Rebels, part of the Sevens setup. What can you tell me about Deron Skelton, Hoilesy?
Yeah, Deron, we saw him at the Sydney Sevens a couple of seasons ago now. He really stood out in that tournament. He's a cousin of Will Skelton, a cousin of Peter Beetham, so he's from good stock. He's a really good young, hard-working back rower, but he's got a fair bit of talent. It's a big rap, so I don't want to put pressure on him, but he reminded me of a young Jerome Kano when I saw him come into the Sevens program and I saw him develop. And if I'm being completely honest, he's probably more of a 15s player than he's a Sevens player. And there's parts of his game he's got that ability to step, bump, and offload. He's got things in him that are hard to coach. He's going to have to transition, of course, and learn the 15s game and probably add a little bit of weight to his frame. But I think they've got themselves a good one down there in Melbourne, and hopefully over the course of the next sort of 3 to 20 weeks, we're going to see him play some sort of action in a Melbourne Rebels jersey. Unfortunately for the Sevens, his contract was up. He was hoping to go to the Olympics this year and then move to Super Rugby. So he had a tough decision to make. Did he try and stay on with the Sevens for the one extra season? But I think he did the right thing and he took the offer from Melbourne. He honoured his deal with Melbourne and he's down there now already training, so we might see him on the field soon.
Yeah, really exciting player. Guys, you know what else is exciting? Restrictions are kind of just starting to ease. We're kind of feeling like maybe we can get a little bit more of normal life coming back. Drew, what are you most excited about doing once these restrictions sort of keep easing? What have you missed the most?
Look, I don't want there to be some type of theme going along here with these episodes, but I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to a beer off the tap. Just get a nice frosted schooner or pint glass and just have one come out the tap, maybe off wood or out of one of those, those brass Carlton draft, those barrels that you see above some of the bars. It's one of those and just have a good crack at the first sip. That's what I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you, Drew, although I'm probably not going to go for a beer. I'm going to go with a Guiltini, of course, just wrap my lips around one of the hottest cocktails in town, and 2 or 3 of them will probably put me to sleep for the first 4 days.
What about you, Lou? What are you looking
already.
forward to?
Yeah, I think the beer at the pub, and also just on a Saturday, there's no one walking to watch footy. There's no crowds. I know that's far away,
you're not
but
going to get your
that made me
eyebrows
sad
or-
on the weekend.
What? Oh.
No,
okay.
they're
Gets a lot
perfect.
done,
What are you
mate.
talking about?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I heard salons and stuff are open. I was just wondering.
Yeah. No, this is no. I don't need those.
Oh no,
I'm
I
fine.
wasn't saying you did, but Halsey just texted me saying, "Ask her about her eyebrows."
That's not true. I don't have any credit.
No.
I've lost 3 jobs. You made a good point, though.
You got a
Lou.
new one though.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things I have missed is actually the local sport. Like that's, we're missing it on TV and stuff. But even I live in Coogee and being able to walk down to junior sport or kids training or watching my club side play down at Coogee Oval. Like that's where we go and catch up with our mates and our friends and kids and stuff. So that's probably something that I've missed the most, and that'll be pretty cool if we get to that stage soon.
Yeah, beer at Coogee Oval sounds pretty good to me. Guys, thanks so much again for your company. Drew Mitchell, Stephen Hoiles, former Wallabies, always great to have a chat. Big thanks to Sean Maloney as well, who joined us from the beginning. Thank you to you for your company too, wherever you're watching. And please subscribe, tell your friends, and follow us on Facebook as well. This is The Only Rugby Show. I'm Louise Ransome. We'll see you next time.